Well, good evening. Welcome to Kazaki Flyer 55 on a Sunday night again with you. For a couple of minutes there, I didn't think we was going to have a show tonight after some sound difficulties that, well, weren't as dire as I thought they were. I got the headphones to work, and that's all we needed for tonight. So we have sound here in our ear, and so we can project it over the air. It makes things a victory, I guess. Well, we're right at a game time of 6:59 in the morning here on the northernmost tip of Australia. We're doing a shuttle flight today. We're not foreseeing any action, but you gotta load up some of the weapons anyway. That's those guys out there on the nose. No rockets or bombs for today. Just a little bit of MG ammo. Mostly it's load up on fuel because we've got a long way to go. And, well, let's see if we can get this cranky old bird started today. Thank you, Kapustik. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to win any beauty contests here. I'm just trying to not look so much like Santa Claus. Because if one thing anymore, I sure can't deliver on that. Well, first thing we need to do is close the top hatch. That's up here. This is where the reach up, close the canopy. Lock it down. Lock it left. Lock it right. We're going to leave our side windows open for the moment. Because we're going to lean out. Let's see. We're going to get some power into this crate. We're going to turn our battery on. Go ahead and click our pitot heat. Turn it on. Open our some of our flaps. The rest we're going to leave on automatic. Gen 1 on, Gen 2 on. Put the covers up. Lights on. All right, and turn that crank over and get those lights on. Now we reach back over here. Well, we got to, first off, we need to switch camera views to look at the parts. We want to turn our fuel pumps on here. Check our fuel load out. Max fuel, please. Thank you. Select our drop tanks. Left hand and right hand. Okay, back up here to the cockpit view. Let's kind of hurry before the batteries drain. Magnetos to both. Power selector to on. Other magnetos to both. Okay, we're going to start our left engine first here if we're lucky. Left engine prime. That's all it takes. Listen to her whine. Oh, that might make a difference if you start the right engine or correct engine. Left, please. That's up on the buttons. Okay, we've got a good start on the left. So we can let that get started warming up. Okay, let's prime the right engine. We're at sea level, so you don't want to prime more than 1 second or more than 2 seconds. And that's good enough. Now let's try to start the right engine again. Start winding up the gyro. And when it's ready, hit the start button. And to quote Dr. Frankenstein, she's alive. All right. Now we can go ahead and crank up our wheels here. Not our wheels, our windows. Being a doofus again and not even being able to say the right words. Okay, and temperatures are coming up. Left engine's already ready. The right engine is still pulling up. And while it moves, I'm going to get myself arranged here. No, I haven't seen it got an update yet, Colonel Fork. Did they improve anything? The last thing they did was, well, the last update they did on it, I'm sure they fixed a few things, but I thought they messed up more than they fixed. All new sounds. I'm all for that. Yes, Kapustik, I do believe I see you in a P-38 here. Are you where? Which? Okay, I'm seeing. Let me change this and tune and get over here and. Yeah, I'm seeing you in Itsy Bitsy livery, but which livery do you actually have? Because I'm in Tommy McGuire's bird, Itsy Bitsy. Yeah, at least you're not a Finanza. That would be kind of hard to explain. And while I'm explaining things for tonight, and the engines are warming up, here we are at YNPE, Yankee November Papa Echo. And our first stop is going to be Daru over across the channel in New Guinea. Alpha Yankee Delta Uniform, AYDU. That's our first stop. And from there, we're going to move to Karima, which is Alpha Yankee Kilo Mike. And from there, it's down to Port Moresby at Alpha Yankee Papa Yankee. That's at least the tentative schedule for tonight's flight plan. Okay. Let's do this right if we can. If there's a way to mess this up, I'll find it. Because now that I'm live, instead of just practicing, of course it's going to be the time you mess up. Okay, local weather says, dun dun dun, wind prefers runway 13. So at least it's the runway closest to us. Winds are 130 at 15 knots. So let's release our brakes. I'm going to turn left here. Lock my left brake. And begin our taxi towards runway 13. I do like the P-38 because you can use engine differential steering in addition to wheel braking. That doesn't look right. Hold your horses a second, Mr. Map. Yeah, I'm facing the wrong direction. Thought that ribbon of runway looked a little bit too much. Okay, right engine up. Left brake. And now it's down to runway 13. Okay, there's the numbers. 13. Okay. Look left. Check. Our flaps are up. Stand by. Release our toe brakes. Power coming in. Here we go. Let's at least get airborne here. More power. And up we go. Gear coming up. trim this up a little bit. I don't know if it's my calibration on my joystick or just something the sim has done, but I've noticed a lot of up trim on my aircraft recently. Now let's just circle the field a bit here. Now don't nose over. Pull our RPMs back a bit. Bring our manifold pressure down. So can you hold that nose attitude for just a second? And trimming is, there it goes. Now hold that trimming. Come on. Okay, let's climb up to 3,500 feet. Let's get back onto heading. Call up my little map. Handy thing. There we go. Map, please. And we're pretty much on course anyway. We're going to bring it a little bit closer to the course line. Okay, and we're leveling up at 3,500 feet. With an indicated airspeed of 200 knots. Just a nice, easy, conservative run across the bay here. From northern Australia to southern New Guinea. Now, I don't have the Royal Australian Air Force livery for the P-38, but I'm at least glad it's showing you as a P-38. I just hope, Colonel Fork, I just hope that runway's long enough for you to take the the jug off there. That was one of the things I'd found that they'd kind of broken, was the length of runway it took to get the old P-47 airborne. All that horsepower, and it took almost a half a mile to three-quarters of a mile to get it up in the air. I appreciate you guys joining us for tonight's little run. The weather doesn't look too cooperative. You know, it's partly cloudy, and we're just under the cloud layer, but it looks like we'll be dipping through it. Okay, check our instruments. See if we can get those engines balanced a little better. Get that RPM equaled out. Bring our RPMs, or our manifold pressure, down just a little bit more. And get that balanced out. And we're drifting a little bit off course here. Not too bad. There's not much out here but atolls and little islands, and I would not want to take a big ship through here at high speed. Now, if you had a ship and went through the channel, that would be one thing. But just to think you could get through here with no consequences, not so much. Pretty shallow ocean around here. There's Kapustik and Colonel Fork back there with us as we head out into the seaway between Northern Australia and Papua New Guinea. We're going to slow down just a little bit more and see if we can get that right at 200. Poor P-38's heavy with all this gas. And to think these aren't the big tanks. And back in FSX, you had the option of, with Milton Shoup's P-38, had the option of putting 300-gallon drop tanks on it. Two of them give you 600 gallons of droppable fuel tank on the bird. You could go a long way with that. There, we're down to 35 inches of manifold pressure on each side. We are grateful to the autopilot on the bird. That still works, at least. Some of the aircraft I've tried it with recently just didn't work at all. But I'm happy as long as this and the Hurricane works. All right. Now we've got 87 miles on this first leg. And I need to change that right quick. Not to destination. I need it to waypoint. Waypoint. Yes. Showing me 24 minutes to waypoint. Didn't think the microphone click or the mouse clicking was so loud until I can hear it in my earphones. It's like, good microphone. Now that the microphone's actually got the boost behind it to where you can hear. Keep our course. The wind is blowing today. And we're right at 200 knots. Ground speed 209. And altitude reporting on our transponder, please. Thank you. Looks like we need another degree to the right. Oh, Colonel Fork is airborne. He should catch up with us fairly soon. And he's got 35 to 50 knots of overtake. I do like that sight. P-38s in formation is epic. Let's nudge it some more to the right. I don't think a typhoon is building in the South Pacific today, but we don't want to make the same mistakes Halsey but Halsey did. Okay, Let's see, what's this little island? Okay, we just passed Warburg Island, where there's an airport. This is a protected area. Yam Island with Yankee Mike India Airport is up on our left up here. Let's see if we can spot the airport from up here. Okay, that's the airport over there. A couple miles off our left wing over there. We're not landing there. That is one short little runway. Kodiaks, yes. P-38s, not so much, even though she can land pretty short. Just gotta do your prep. And it looks like we're getting a Yahoo again. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Carl Fork, I don't know how to do it. That's the problem. It's weird that they let a mod do it, but don't let the streamer do it. Okay, I'll give that a try right quick. Hey, something worked. I'm always pleased when things work. I'm drifting a little bit to the left. Okay, we are 14 minutes out of our first stop, 50 nautical miles. And let me, Colonel Fork, let me know if there's anything else I need to turn on and where to give you the privilege of giving people the heave ho or the timeout or whatever it takes to get rid of these yo-yos. Well, your best is better than 99% of the world of the planet, Colonel Fork. It's better than blue ocean just to look at. A little bit of green is good. Shallow waters everywhere. That wind is being tricky today. Why things can't just settle for one setting and be happy there, I don't know. I guess I'm just a curmudgeonly old man as it is. Well, thank you, Colonel Ford. That'll help. You know, I've been doing streaming stuff for about a year, and well, you know that this old saw that you can teach a dog new tricks. Yeah, no, you can't. No, you can't. If this old dog is capable of learning new tricks, I haven't found them yet. And Kapustik has switched to the left side. And Colonel Fork is still back there giving us nice high cover and far enough back to see if we get into any trouble that they can help out. Okay, we're less than 9.5 minutes from our first stop. It'll take longer for us to land than to fly there. Time to dig out the map and break up the radio and give them a call and see what the weather's doing. Okay, the altitude of the airport is 13 feet. It wants to use runway 14. So that's an overfly, get into a left-hand pattern, and swing back around. Of course, we've got to get there first. And just for the curious, how long is the runway here? 4,589 feet. Should give us plenty of room to land a couple of P-38s and a P-47. There, wiggle around in my chair and get that comfortable. Okay, I've got a Twitch question for you, Colonel Fork. Now, I won't need to add that command every broadcast, will I? Once you're assigned, it's there, right? Ah, cool. Okay, 6 minutes out, 23 miles. We're at 3,500 feet. Let's come down to about 15. $1,500 Pull the power back a little bit more, about 30 inches on both engines. And Kapustik, being the legend that they are, staying right tight in formation no matter what goofy maneuvers we pull. Now that's a lot of little bitty islands. I expect when the tide's up, they're all covered. Be a great place to either free dive, scuba dive, or snorkel. I believe our island of airport is up ahead of us on the nose. It says 16 miles, so that's about right at 1,500 feet to be able to see it from here. We'll have to get a lot closer to see the runway, though. One thing I am looking forward to, if I can get the passwords and stuff set straightened up and working right, I'm looking forward to getting the P-33 next week. I don't have it yet. I got to wait until payday to get it. I won't even mind if it ain't perfect. Just got to look the part and mostly fly the part. I do not expect Mach 1 plus from a T-80. Okay, I believe the airport's on the second island. Yes, it is. There's Bristow Island, and then on the other side of the little channel is Daru. And our airport is over on Daru. Yeah, once we get overhead, we'll be slamming the engines onto or into low and getting slowed down to drop our gear and come in on runway 14. Local barometric pressure is 1015 hectopascals. Is it? Yeah, I think it's paved. It said it was paved. Hard runway with aprons, fuel, parking, and taxiways. So I expect so. Okay, right over the top. Okay, actually starting to, I can see the airport now. So we have visual. Start pulling the power back. Put the tablet away for a minute. Okay, there's runway 14. Keep bringing our power down. And we want to start a slow descent. Gear coming down. First notch of flaps. Didn't time it just right. A little bit off. Okay, we're at 500 AGL. Making our turn to final. Runway lined up. Power coming back some more. Bumpsy daisy. And brakes. Pull over here to the gas station. All right. Not close enough yet. Well, that'll have to do. Well, we didn't use up too much, but we'll refuel what we got. And get out of everybody's way. Everybody else feed the beast. And Colonel Fork is coming in on final. Trying to find the best position to watch the landing from. Now, there's a good one. And there's the LOD coming in now. That's a very nice, smooth approach so far. A nice float in. Not even a bounce. Nice. Very nice. Now the weeds. I'll give Colonel Fork a couple of minutes to taxi back up here and grab some fuel, and then we'll turn out onto the back taxi down the runway there to the end of 14, and then we'll get ready to go. We've still got a couple of stops to make. Ooh, pretty. Yeah, Kapustik, believe it or not, this is from a fantasy movie. But it is about flying. Okay, let's back taxi down to the end of runway 14 here. It's not a long runway, so we shouldn't have to go too far. I get a couple more hours in the C-130 under my belt where I can coordinate the landing with the reversing. These would be nice short runways to play with that. Okay, turn around on the piano keys. More right engine. And tap the brakes, hold it right there. Okay, let's look left and look right. Let's get airborne here. And up we go. Gear up. Quick trip around the airfield here. There's Colonel Fork rolling now. Okay, left turn to approximately about 030 degrees. Easier just to go there. Okay, we're at 3,200 feet, not 3,000. But it's it's just a ferry flight. We don't have to be specific. Just heading the course. And watch out for our winds. Bring our manifold pressure back to, we'll hold at 35. About 2,700 RPM here. gives us right at 202 knots if indicated and 204 ground speed. Okay, we'll try that. Boy, that wind is pushing us. I don't recall putting a sail out. Okay, it's saying 155 nautical miles. It's 45 minutes. This is the longest stretch of the run tonight. It's all over water. There are airfields to divert to along the way, but they are short and unimproved. All right, let's see. Couple more degrees to the right. Counterbalance that wind. Welcome to Papua New Guinea. And now we bid just to bid it goodbye as we head across the bay. I kind of like this because I get to indulge in flying and I get to indulge in DJing. Two of the things I'm actually qualified to still do. It's just a sad state of affairs that everybody's so uptight that you can't just leave the music in the VODs anymore. I can't help it. I'm a Napster kid. We grew up, man. Music was free as much as you could grab. Your only speed limit was your download speed. That's too much drift. Come on, make up your mind. Not that there's nothing but ocean and the final destination out there. Oh, that's pretty. That's the kind of maneuvers that we all wish we could do. This phrase, good at making the maneuvers, not so good at holding the position. Now, Colonel Fork's about 500 meters behind us. There, almost got it right. One more. How about that? Try that one. At least for a couple of minutes. No, I could cheat and put it on GPS, but that's not how VOR works. And it half of it's compensating for the wind anyway. And I do like the detail we get, even in the MS 2020. Now 2024 might be more detailed, but I don't see how they could squeeze in too much more. They can tighten the mesh on the sceneries and give us more effects and stuff, but I don't think they can improve the aircraft. Other than match them up 1-to-1. If this is what you're flying, this is what you're flying. One of my pet peeves is, okay, when a developer models and does all this wonderful hard work and produces such wonderful aircraft, sell the model. Don't just sell the whole aircraft. Sell the model. Sell the LODs so that somebody can say, for $5 or $6, buy the model so that you can see it in multiplayer. I think that would make a lot of these developers a lot more money. because I'm not anxious to pay $80 for an MD-80. As much as I like the MD-80, I'm not going to pay that much for the whole airliner when it's not something I'm going to fly that much. But I'd like to be able to see it when somebody else I know flies it. Okay, we're getting there. Oh, well, down to 122 nautical miles. Hooray! Hey, wonderful. We're not piloting the headless horseman machines today. We've actually got pilots in them. Mine and Kapustik's. Some multiplayer aircraft. It's like, ooh, ghosts flying. These, of course, are P-38Ls. An aircraft the Allison engine actually works well in. The P-40 may have been limited to under 12,000 feet to perform, but the P-38 had the room for the extra superchargers, so she could push her altitude all the way up to 30,000 feet. And we don't want to zoom in too close because, well, I don't want to trigger some folks. The Digitus Imputicus might be more than they're ready for. But it was very fitting for Tommy Maguire's aircraft. We're not careful, we'll drift all the way up into New Guinea itself. This wind pushing us. Keeping our distance and heading here. Temperatures are good. Amps are good. So we're actually generating power instead of draining batteries. Right at 201, 202, 203, depending on where the wind gust hits us. Oops, rubber banding. Thank you, servers. Yep. Where we're actually headed for today is the home of the great ace race. The American media would pump it up to a lot more than it really was. Actually, the two men were friends and got along fairly well, but Ira Bong and Tommy McGuire, they served in the same units. They ate the same food. They flew the same missions, and the U.S. media built them up into a contest that wasn't really there. Those guys were there to do a job, and that's all they were there for. They didn't care about the numbers. And in the early years, they did fine in P-40s, but once they got the P-38, that's when they really shone. Of course, Ira Bong ended up with 40 kills or 40 knockdowns by the end of the conflict. Tommy McGuire had 38, which these guys in the Pacific did higher numbers than the fellows in the European theater. And they did these things in the P-38, which the Europeans didn't want anything to do with. And treasure is where you find it. But the Europeans loved their P-47s. And to tell you the truth, I don't blame them. I love mine. Whenever I see that there's an update for it, I tend to cross my fingers and hope. There's 90 miles. So we getting there. Nice steady 200 knots. There. Push a couple of buttons here. It's okay, winds. Be nice. Let me hold this heading. As this heading would take me all the way into Kareem. Oops, Karima. Left the vowel off. I'd like to buy a vowel for 250 there. Can I have an A? Oops. Actually looking forward in a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks to Market Garden. We'll have to see how many C-47s we can get on Murph Stream to cross the channel in broad daylight and fly into Holland. Bit of cloud coming up here. Got to give Murph credit. He does do the best Richard Burton I've heard in a long time. Come on, cooperate. There. Those buttons. There, push another couple of buttons. Yeah, nothing out here right now to look at but ocean. It's not even a shipping channel. We don't get no boats. It looks like New Guinea on the horizon up there. I think the hills are rearing their heads up. One thing New Guinea is not short on is mountains. And Colonel Fork's pushing it with a. Now, it's not showing the extra tanks. Although we shouldn't be getting too far out of its range, even on internals. We've got 60 miles to go. One thing you can tell me, Colonel Fork, how's the fuel gauge doing in the P-47? Because mine have had issues in the past. It's like I don't expect it to show the belly tanks, but when I'm on internals, I do like to know what I've got. That's got to be one of the most comforting sights in the world, to look out your right wing and see somebody hanging there. You don't realize how big the P-38 actually is till you see it next to something like the P-47, which you know is a big airplane. Let's see, we got 50 miles to go. 15 minutes, a little under 15 minutes at this speed. 14 minutes. It's time to start doing the things like actually considering where we're going to land. Winds are variable at 3 knots at Karima. Runway is 3,096 feet long. Plenty should be. Runway 32 is right in the bay. Runway 14 isn't much better, but there is a little bit of land in front of it. So, just for safety's sake, I'll consider runway 14 again. And hope the wind doesn't change too much. There's somebody flying around in New Guinea today. Look at that transition. That's beautiful. Oh, another 10 minutes. Nothing like a little Tim Burton to cheer up a person's day. Looking out the window, I'd say the water's starting to shallow up. Okay, 3,200 feet, 215 ground speed. Tailwind's pushing our starter. As we haven't changed our engine settings. Still running about 35 inches of manifold pressure. 2,700 RPM on both engines. Temperatures are well in the green. Doing great. Man, the hills of New Guinea just pop up out of the ocean. They don't give you no warning. They just come right up. Those cloud reflections are awesome. And I took a screenshot of that. I just couldn't help it. That's gorgeous. Eek! There's a fast mover out there. So, hey, buddy. Yeah, unless you're crossing the Owen Stanleys, that's no place for us or you. Okay, you can see a river inlet up there. Is that where we're going? Yep, pretty much. See that spit of land that's just to our side of that inlet? That's where the runway is. So this landing will be pretty much the same, hopefully, as the last one. And pass over the airfield, turn left, go downwind, turn base, drop altitude, turn onto final, and land. And then after that, we'll gas back up, make sure we've got plenty, and because what we don't use we'll need at Moresby. And that's the last stop of the night, is down to Port Moresby. It's 123 miles away from Karima. Hey, we're 12 miles out. You can see the city of Karima. And the airport's tucked into that. So we're going to hold here at 3,200 until we're almost over the airfield, and then it'll be power down, take the airplane back, enter the pattern, and land. So we need to try for a left-hand brake and go for a 30-minute or 30-second interval for spacing. Seven miles. We're almost there. At least for most of the leg down to Moresby, we can stay low to the jungle, and we'll just stay low to the and be over the land most of the time. No need for sandwiches to feed the fish. Okay, 3 miles. This is where if you had Toby or a working IR tracker, you could lean to the right and see around your nose. Well, there's the airport. Okay, over the airfield, turning left now, and dropping speed. We are way high. Gear is down. Give me 1 notch flaps, please, as we do another quick go around. And keep adding rudder. And there's the airfield. Zero power. Get on the brakes. Get off the runway. Drive up the road. Go to the gas station right quick. And Kapustik making a great landing. And Colonel Fork is on short final. May need to go around. Ouch. Okay, I'm not the only one that does that. Give me fuel. Fill my tanks up. Wind our way between the buildings here. There we go. A bit of like getting through a maze there. One thing I like about at Jackson Airport down at Port Moresby, it's long. Okay, let's see. Get back in the cockpit, stupid. There we go. That's lined up. Okay, let's see what you got, even with 1 notch of flaps. Didn't need all that runway after all. Gear up, flaps up. And fly south along the coast here. Pull back to about, 40 inches this time. We're not going to get too high. We're going to use the jungle as a bit of cover. Well, have a good dinner, Colonel Fork. And let's hope yours is tastier than mine. $118 of following the coast. And once you get it trimmed, the P-38 is one stable aircraft. Okay, we're right at about 1,150 feet or so. Mm. There, while I push buttons again. There, let it do for a couple minutes. Oh, there. Yeah, 100 miles to Moresby. This is called Waking Up the Natives. Do not crash land here. You will become part of the menu. You'll notice the views do follow the dihedral of the wings. At least it's bright enough we don't see the glow of the manifolds. As you can get they get nice and glowing hot. Do a quick flight, quick landing, and cook your dinner on the manifold. Papua New Guinea is beautiful countryside. Maybe full of headhunters, but it's beautiful to look at from above. Now, those are some dark beaches. More of that volcanic sand. Okay, we'll be passing close to Alpha Yankee Lima Sierra. About 3 miles up here on our left. Well, as you can see, a swath cut in the jungle. That's the airport. Let's stay closer to the coast here. Try not to hit this random hill. And unlike General Kinney, we do not have a case of scotch riding on our wager of whether we can make it safely tonight. Of course, his was just a wager with Ira Bong about if you can beat Eddie Rickenbacker's record of scores, I will give you a case of scotch. And General MacArthur, being the grandstander that he was, he heard about that and said, I'll match that. So that made 2 cases of scotch up for grabs. Then the media got a hold of it, and they had to tone it down to 2 cases of Coke. Because we couldn't have our boys drinking overseas. And we'll have to stay inland just a little bit here, because if we go too close to the coast, I think we're going to run into a mountain. Steer a little bit away from the hills. Because sometimes I feel like Charlie Brown's kite If there's a way, I will find a way to attract a tree. I haven't gotten to the point where I vacuum them up out of the ground and slam them into my airplane. Usually it's just the other way around. I slam the airplane down into the ground and hit the tree. Picking up traffic. New Guinea is a popular place to fly. Well, I got my P-47 through Sim Market Kapustik, and I haven't checked there yet. I'll check in a minute. I'm kind of afraid. That's one button I'm afraid to push while we're doing the sim. You know, I want to stay feet dry, so make a little left here and stay over the land. Uh-oh, allergies. Guys. I need to be able to see the land. And Kapustik seems to have the high cover right now. And excuse my allergic eyes. At least the glasses went back on easily. I didn't have to take my hat off to put them on. Ugh. Excuse me, I'm going to get a napkin here and block my eyes a bit. All right. And keep our heading up here. Colonel Fort got an email about the update. Well, if he got word about an update, pretty sure they updated it through Sim Market and the other sellers. Now, if he got it through the marketplace, of course, be aware that there's probably going to be a couple of weeks before you get the update through that. Ah, direct from AH. And I remember back in the day, I bought so many packages from those guys. I think I had 6 marks of Spitfire and 3 models of Corsair, the Birdcage, and then the later ones, all the way up through the 50s. We got the P-51A, B, C with the Malcolm hood, and then the D model. There were a couple of landing fields in Tennessee that were kind of hairy to land a Corsair on. No wire? Come on, eyes. All right. Oh, this is getting ridiculous. Come on. I got to be able to see to do this. Oh, we're 50 miles away from Port Moresby. We'll just take a more direct course. Take us up to 1,500 feet. Stay out of these little hills. And things fall off the table. There's a road through the jungle. Steady up on course to Port Moresby Hill. Now be aware, around Port Moresby there are several hills to look out for during your approach. And speaking of the approach, winds are variable at 3 knots here too, so pick a runway. There's 14 left, 14 right, 32 left, and 32 right. 14 right and 32 left are the short ones. 14 left and 32 right are the long runways. Boy, that road really stands out here in the countryside. Probably use a lot of coral shells into the asphalt mix here. That ain't no blacktop. That's pretty bright white. And then the road turns left and hares off into the mountains. Another spot where a river's dumping out into the ocean, making for a nice bay with probably a little bit of a city around it. Okay, it says we're 8 minutes out of Port Moresby at present speed. Well, it's not very built up here at all. I was expecting a bit more. So there you go, folks. If you're looking for a place to invest and need to put in a resort, the southern coast of Papua New Guinea is ripe for the developing. Last thing we need to see is a Disney resort down here. Okay, Port Moresby is just on the other side of the ridges, the hills ahead of us. Well, this flight is taking longer than I planned tonight, but I wasn't going to give up halfway there. These birds were supposed to be delivered to Port Moresby, and that's what they're going to get. Well, it looks like we've got enough altitude to clear the hills up here. Well, usually with my luck, now is about the time the allergy attack would normally hit me. We're about 10 miles out from the airport. It's like, no, 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 I need to see. Okay, I can see the lights of the runway in the distance. Okay, let's be a goofball. What's a Sir Fuzz flight if you don't have a crash in it? Well, I'm gonna go for 1-4 right, the short one. Okay, turn everything off. Don't fly into the mountains. Okay, let's avoid the hills, start our descent. Power coming back. The lights at 1-4 left are really bright. They're not giving us any lights for 1-4 right, though. But I can see the runway. Power back. Keep the nose up while we bleed the speed off. Okay, flaps are out. And we're on our descent. Bring a little bit of power back in. We picked out our touchdown zone. Ooh, now is not the time for stutters. Over the tree line. Over the fence. Power off. Nose up. Let her settle. And apply the brakes. Ooh, taxiway to the right over here. And we'll taxi all the way to the terminal here. Well, we want to thank everybody for spending another Sunday night with us here as we took a couple of P-38s from Australia up to Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea. Ooh, a twin otter over there. Don't want you running off. Let's see, what else do we got running around here? Two twin otters. We've got a CJ4. Looks like we did leave enough room for Kapustik to get in there. Ah, come on, find the right button there. Got an old Quonset, double Quonset hut there with a TBM. The CRJ is getting ready. Got the ground crew around it. We've even got a tube. Okay. Looks like a 350. Ooh, what's down here? I see a Catalina. Looks like either a Duke or a 310. There's a Huey over here. Another TBM. Whole line of helicopters down here. Couple of Hueys stuck in there. See a couple of the H-125s. Port Moresby was a nice airport. I think this is a freeware off of flightsim.to. Despite the hiccups. Well, Kapustik, thank you for flying along. And Colonel Fork did a great job flying along with us tonight. We have delivered our P-38s to this airport. Oops, wrong mouse. Yes, Colonel Fork. I gotta wait to payday before I can get my T-33. But I definitely want one. I've had the pleasure of actually touching one in a hangar at one point down in Tyler, Texas. So I'm kind of anxious to get one to fly around in the sim. It was a pleasure we got to see one of Chuck Yeager's F-104s. That was actually the base for Randy Ball's MiG-17 Fresco, which I've even got some takeoff footage of that running around here somewhere. I took on a SLR camera that was all I had with me at the time. Wasn't planning on taking movies at all, but they had all kinds of good stuff at the Tyler Airport in Texas. But it was just a real treat. We got to talk with Randy, and then we got to watch him suit up, fuel up, and take off, which was a real treat. But in the meantime, let's see if there's anybody on the raid, and then we'll let everybody go and get on with what's left of their Sunday nights. Let's see if we can. Okay, Norcali is on. We can raid him, and he's already here in New Guinea. All right. Well, folks, thanks for coming along on a Sunday night.